This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Philosophy is the oldest science that was born in ancient Greece and studies the fundamental problems related to the meaning of life, human existence, etc. One of the branches of philosophy is epistemology, which deals with the nature of knowledge, how it is acquired, what it is knowledge, and what are the sources of it. There are many theories of epistemology. The major ones are empiricism, rationalism, and constructivism. In this essay, I am going to compare and contrast two opposing theories of epistemology that explored the question from where does knowledge come from, and which influenced the Enlightenment's concept of the mind. Thus, according to the rationalism theory of knowledge, reason is the primary source of knowledge. As opposed to the rational theory, the empiricism theory estimates that the primary source of knowledge is experience, which can be based on the perceptual observation of the world. Two major philosophers of the Enlightenment provided these theories and based their activities on them. Descartes was a supporter of rationalism, and Locke described empiricism. The empiricism theory of knowledge is based on the suggestion that knowledge is generated from one's personal experience. This supposition is still predominant among the theories of epistemology and is contradictory to rationalism. According to the empiricism theory of knowledge, all the knowledge acquired is based on individual experience. The experience comes from evidence and sensory perception of the world, which leads to the formation of specific ideas. In other words, the senses and perceptions serve as engines for our beliefs. Perception is a starting point for knowledge. John Locke was the first philosopher who clearly explained the essence of empiricism theory of knowledge. Locke set forth what would become the Enlightenment's dominant conception of the mind, a blank slate on which the sensation provided by sensory experience produces ideas. He suggested the blank slate theory that explained how knowledge is acquired. Thus, every child is like a blank sheet of paper. Only through using its senses of perception, like hearing, smelling, and seeing, can the child gain an understanding of the better world. This theory was adopted in pedagogic and is still used in it. The mind as a blank slate received sensation from the external world. That individual mind imperially ordered chaotic sensory experience, constructing, therefore, its own meaning for the world. Thus, this statement provides the idea that there are no good or bad children. The individuality forms under the influence of events and situations that appear to a personality during its life. The notion of idea was the core of Locke's empiricism. The fundamental unit in Locke's theory of knowledge is the idea. He understands the ideas in the first instance as the images received by the sense. One has a particular perception of a new thing, and under the influence of this perception, the idea about this thing is formed. Furthermore, the ideas are analyzed and developed into knowledge. Locke's theory denied the suggestion that every person is born with innate knowledge. If this was true, then everybody would be similar, and there would be no place for moral education. However, not all the philosophers supported this point of view. There were scientists who provided different ideas. The theory of knowledge of rationalism provides the idea that the source of knowledge is not an idea of the past experience, but the idea of reason. The rationalists believed in fundamental speculative and ethical truths or principles which are not derived from experience but discerned immediately by reason, and which reflect the eternal divine truth. This statement means that at the core of rational knowledge are several fundamental concepts. First of all, each of us is born with the first principles. These principles form the inner knowledge, the knowledge that we have when we are just born. This knowledge is created for some reason, and the knowledge that we acquired during our lives is generated from this innate knowledge. In order to explain what innate knowledge is, the rationalists provided, as an example, the understanding of the categories of time and space, cause, and consequences. For example, if x is bigger than y and y is bigger than z, then z is smaller than x. This ability to come to a conclusion is the innate knowledge that was not developed from experience but was born with us. According to rationalists, every individual thinks in terms of reason and its consequences, and this reasoning directs and forms our life experience. One of the greatest thinkers who developed the theory of rationalism during the period of Enlightenment was Descartes. There is a profoundly radical individualism at the heart of Enlightenment thought. Its rationalisms led Enlightenment philosophy to enthrone the individual as the center and creator of meaning, truth, and even reality. Descartes was the philosopher who used the theory of doubts as a basis for rationalism. He provides the idea that all our experiences and beliefs can be called into doubt. Descartes had doubted everything, but he could not doubt himself. He as the I, the irreducible thinking being, existed at the core of reality. A famous quote by Descartes, "I think, therefore I am," illustrates the idea that there is no knowledge outside your mind. In other words, everything that exists can be put into doubt. This statement gives a reason to be skeptical about everything in the world. In addition, it becomes a premise for the acquisition of new knowledge. Thus, only if one explores the issue and thinks it over by himself or herself can one estimate that it is the acquired knowledge. Today, philosophers do not think that rationalism and Descartes, in particular, achieved success in the theory of knowledge. John Locke rushed in where Descartes feared to tread. Descartes never fell into the error of thinking that a representative theory of knowledge could stand in its own right. The ideas of Locke are still used in pedagogic practices and are generally accepted among modern philosophers. In its own turn, the theory of knowledge provided by Descartes is quite individualistic and can be applied only to some scientific domains, such as mathematics, for example. So, in the branch of philosophy called epistemology, there are several theories of knowledge aimed at answering the question, from where does knowledge come from? Empiricism and rationalism are the two that contradict each other, providing opposite ideas. The empiricism emphasizes that the source of knowledge is one's personal experience. As opposed to empiricism, rationalism provides the idea that each individual is born with innate knowledge. These days, the ideas of empiricism by Locke are recognized as more reliable ones. This essay on empiricism and rationalism, René Descartes and John Locke views, was written and submitted by a student just like you. The IvyPanda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.